when my kids are getting difficult, whatever, they're kids. And they're going to do things that's going to poke your nerve.
Yep.
I do notice my own thinking of, oh my God, I'm really just like, I could do something just like my parents. But thank goodness I have a different level of awareness that I do not take that into act.
Hi, welcome to another episode of Creating Connections. Today I'm here with Lynn Young Soo, and I'm super excited because when we had our intro call, it was short, but there was just such a deep connection, and it was so exciting. I'm looking forward to sharing this conversation with you all today. I'm going to give Lynn just a few minutes to introduce herself and tell you guys what she is all about.
Thank you so much, Lynn. You're right. We talked for literally 15 minutes, yet we went right into the deep topics that both of us we share. And yeah, so my name's Lynn. I live in London, Ontario, Canada. I love where I live. I haven't always been lived here. I'm actually an immigrant. I moved to Canada when I was 20 years old to obtain my post-secondary education in university. So that's why the city I'm living in is where I went to university, is where I found my first job and last job. I stayed in that career path for 8 years. I was a registered dietitian. I studied nutrition. I love food, something I want to always put it out there first thing. I love food. Food is important for me, and I'm passionate for good food. Um, and so yeah, I follow that passion to become a registered dietitian because I also want to help other people to understand what their food is doing for their own body, their own well-being, health. I loved what I studied. I spent 4 years in undergrad and 2 years at a master degree. Graduated thinking I'm going to save the world, and I was very lucky. I found a full-time job right away. Immediately I felt this discontent of I don't I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. That's what I'm feeling. But I was so scared to even entertain that thought because how dare I? I worked so hard to be where I was. I spent all of my parents' savings to be where I was. I haven't even got my first paycheck yet. But that feeling of I'm not fulfilled stayed with me for 8 years until I couldn't push it under. It's like a beach ball. I kept pushing it underwater anymore. And I made a decision. I was crying in my car because felt so sad for this so-called success I built. And then I made a decision. Something got to change. And then, as people say, the rest was history. That was oh gosh, coming up almost 8.5 years ago. So that's where
Wow.
I am. I'm
And
and yeah.
yeah, so who are you supporting now and
Right.
how does your business look like? And I will say you are absolutely not alone. There are so many of us, especially of Asian descent, who we have expectations set by the people around us. And there are certain goals and careers that we're supposed to live. And if we don't follow that path all the way, it's like you feel like you're letting everyone else down.
Yeah, yes.
But if you're letting yourself down the most because you're not following the path that you feel called to, it's like, who are you living for? So I would love to know how that changed, like how that evolved. As Asians, we all love food. Our food is so good in the
Yes.
different Asian cultures. There's different foods, but I mean, they're all so good. I've tried
Mm,
the vast majority of them is just delicious. So yes, I love that you really embrace that and you share that right off the bat. But where are you now? Like, how do you support the people in your world? Or like, what does that look like? How did it evolve from food to like this more expansive idea of supporting people?
right. I really I chose the field to work in healthcare as a registered dietitian because part of my truth, which is to help others, to support others, to become better, to make that positive, meaningful impact. However, 8 years working in within healthcare system, I'm so grateful for our Canadian healthcare, and at the same time, it's just so heavily regulated, so
Mm.
much policies, so much politics, and all of that. Nothing wrong with that is necessary, but it was just confining me.
Hmm.
But this fire, this burning desire and passion for helping people, for making that impact has never died through the entire years. And when I was crying in my car, that's when I came to the realization something got to change. I didn't have a plan. I didn't know what was my next step. I did not definitely thought in that moment thought, hey, I can become a coach. Definitely not thought that. But as they say, once you make a decision, the universe rush to your aid. From that moment on, the conversations I was having with other people, the realization I came for myself, and the clarity, the awareness was so incredibly overwhelming because that decision allowed me to open my awareness. Not that those facts were not there, that those informations were not there. It was I was so close-minded, I was not willing to see it. So one thing led to another. I realized I love life coaching. I didn't even know when I had this thought, I didn't even know what life coaching, like by definition, what it is. But I was really supporting and helping a friend, and she is an entrepreneur. I started a business on the side, and I was just really listening to her, giving her a different perspective, and she would walk away feeling, I feel that she felt so much better and lighter. And that's when this fire of this is the impact I want to make. Fast forward today, I started my own business as a life coach, got a certification, evolved along the 8.5 years, almost 9 years, as building this business. And eventually, today, I love supporting other entrepreneurs who went through what I went through, which is transition from being an employee into building a business, because the mindset shift is very important in order for you to have a very successful business, along with the nuances of building a business, the strategies, the tactics, all of that. And that is where my passion is. So I give myself the title because I'm the boss. My title is mindset trainer and strategist, because my approach in business is you got to start here. You got to start in your mind, in your thinking, and that's where everything else will flourish into your reality.
Yeah, it absolutely starts with what happens in your head and in your mind first.
Right.
And we didn't get raised in that. The majority of us didn't anyway, and I feel like it's a lot more prominent these days, which is super exciting. The generations ahead have more explorative options and just so much more in their hands because they're able to utilize mindset tools and rewire their brains to access their own thoughts, their own ambitions, their own set of expectations, things that align their ideas of success outside of what they were taught within their environment or who they were raised by. And and I think that's so important, right? Like um we have good intentions. We want to raise our children in the best ways. Sometimes though, if we haven't done our own work, being raised by again in the Asian culture was just very restrictive, and these are the certain paths that you need to go down in order to find success, and this is exactly how you do it. And if you don't follow that path, you are a letdown. Like your family wants to be proud of you, they want to be able to support you, but if you're not going to go down the path that they choose, the support is going to be a lot less, and the understanding is not going to be there. And so it's just if you choose the non-traditional path, you rid yourself of opportunities and options is how it feels. But when you iron out what your mindset is and allow yourself to open up to all of the different possibilities, when you align with what you actually desire, and like you said, the universe is right there, fully ready to serve and put everything into place to make things happen for you, but you have to decide on that first. How do you feel like things are changing now with the children that you are serving and supporting in your life with your coaching mindset? Because that to me is huge. They're going to have much more options available to them in life, and their level of capacity, because you're guiding them in that sense instead of giving them specific paths to follow. So like how does that feel for you? And then does that translate to your parents, the way that you're parenting your children?
Absolutely. I think you and I, we grew up with sounds like pretty typical Asian parents. It's not just Asian. Asian has our own characteristics. And then if we look at, yeah, I don't know, Italian or East European, there are all shared traits of certain traditions. Basically, they're just the set ways of doing things. And we a term that's been flowing around quite often for a while is this generational trauma, whether we call it generational trauma or generational tradition, we call it. It is you and I. We went through a period when we realized something is not serving us anymore. So we want to break it. We want to not repeating this cycle simply because we have a different kind of awareness. It's not about that my parents were wrong or anything. It's great. They 100% came from love. They did everything that they knew. They just didn't have this kind of awareness. And then when you have this kind of awareness, this is a joke. I don't know if it's appropriate, but I'm gonna say it. I say people say, "What do you do as a mindset trainer?" I say, "Okay, imagine this. You went to you're in a mall in a public space. You went to the bathroom. You came out. People are just like, oh, you know they're talking about you and they are pointing finger at you, but you do not know why. You're getting frustrated. You're getting just what's going on. And then as a mindset trainer, I'm simply outside of your reality. I came over, I just whisper in your ears, hey, you got toilet paper stuck behind your rear end. That is awareness. Now you know. Now you can do something about it. Whether to keep wearing that because you're declare a new fashion sense, or you want to, grab it and throw it into the garbage. Without that awareness, nothing can change. This is very timely. In the time of we were recording this, my daughter, my soon to be 4 year old, is going to have her birthday tomorrow, and my older one is going to be 10 very soon. So I'm a parent for the first time. Am I perfect? Heck no. But I know that I know because of my awareness that is different compared to my parents to when they had me. I am not doing exactly the same thing as how they raised me. Actually, quite different. Again, no right, no wrong. It's because they treated me the way they were treated as a kid, and they didn't know any different. But I do know. So I can treat my children with much more intention. Do I always know what to do? What is the right thing to do? Heck no. Yet I can come in from a very different perspective.
Yeah, I think that's one of the most important things is identifying that life in general is not good or bad. There aren't situations that are good or bad. It's how you tie your emotions and your feelings to it, how you want to perceive it, how you choose to perceive it. And I think it's that's a huge thing because growing up, a lot of times when something perceivingly bad happens, for example, like something that I reference a lot actually is I went to California with my family and I was of driving age. I want to say I was like 20. I can't remember. But I was of driving age. And in Texas it's 16. I want to say across the United States it's 16 when you can actually start driving, get your driver's license in general. But I got to borrow my aunt and uncle's van. We backed up out of their driveway, but there's like a fence. It's kind of like curved. I scraped their fence coming out. And we were just about to head out to eat. And I freaked. I was just like, oh my gosh, like what happened? And I'm just like in shock. I'm terrified. And the reason why I'm terrified is because if something like this happened at home, it would have been mass chaos. Like my parents would have flipped out because I did something awful. I wasn't paying attention. How could I have been so careless? Now it's going to cost hundreds, maybe even thousands of dollars to fix the car and something so expensive. How could I have done something so horrible? And and then I would get in trouble for that. For us, we didn't get grounded. I don't think the Asian culture really ascribes to being grounded, or getting grounded. But I would have gotten in a lot of trouble. Now, I was faced with a couple of different options at that point. I was like, okay, so I can stop, get out, and go tell them, get in a lot of trouble and not get to go out, or I can go out and then face them after we come back from the event. And it honestly it was a gathering of like a lot of people that we met at Buddhist camp. So it wasn't like we were going to go out and party and have this like big shebang that was illegal or anything like that. You know, like we were innocent kids. I was an adult, felt like a kid. But anyway, so we decided to go out. We went out and I was so afraid. I was still so afraid because I had never encountered this with my aunt and uncle before. And when I say I was in California, I'm from Houston, so we were away from home. So we went out, got there, and I'm just like I'm trying to get verification from other people that like, oh, it's not a big deal. It's going to be okay. Trying to like calm myself and my nerves, telling everybody like, look, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did this. You know, in my heart, I'm like expecting or and hoping that everyone's going to be like, yeah, no big deal. Like it's just a tiny scratch. You can't even see it. You know, to help calm and soothe myself. Um, long story short, I got back. I explained to them and I was so scared. And as I'm explaining to them, they're like, "Is everything okay? Like what's going on?" And when I finally let it out and told them that I scraped their car, they literally laughed it off and were like, "Oh, that's it. No big deal. And you're okay. Everyone's okay. Yeah, that's fine." And when I say everyone, I had taken my other siblings who were not all of them were adults at the time, but we're all within like a couple of years age range from each other. And that was so transformative for me. They were very Americanized. My uncle came to America, actually by boat with my other uncle and aunt when he was around 8 years old. So they were really young. So the majority of their lives have been here in America. And so they were very Americanized. And he's one of my uncles that I'm like, he's like, so what's the word? Like not forward thinking. And I was so blown away. I was like, I'm so sorry. I'm willing to work to pay for it. And I was just even when they said it was okay, I was still really willing to go above and beyond and offer to do anything that I can because I was still so terrified. And that to me explains the difference in the way that we parent. It can be something devastating, no matter what the situation is. It can be something devastating that you guys experience together, or it can be something that you can learn from and move forward from. Like in their instance, in their view, it's a vehicle, it can be fixed. You're fine and you're safe. That's what matters. Whereas for my parents, it would have been, you know, and again, like you said, nothing right or wrong in this. It was just different from in what they knew. Their best way would have been to, you know, get upset and explain how important this is and what kind of resources it would take to get this resolved and fixed. And it's a lot. So I need to put a lot more awareness and intention into what I'm doing so that this doesn't happen again. But the way that it was presented really knocked my nervous system out of whack because I wasn't prepared to handle those kinds of stresses. And that's another thing that I would love to talk about is like nervous system regulation and how we face situations now and how we are able to share that with the people in our lives because the more balanced we are, the more good energy we can bring into every relationship. And that helps to um, be a good model for our children whenever they look at how we react and reflect the things or the way that we react to situations is how they'll react to situations, how they know whether or not they're safe to be able to handle when things might get hard or when things go potentially bad. Like how does that go into play in your life? Like nervous system regulation and neurodivergence, like all of those things. I imagine you've encountered that. And how has that affected your business and then your life and how you parent?
Yes, as far as clients, it's my all of most of my clients, or all of my clients right now are all entrepreneurs, and so that is, yeah. Regardless, whether here's the thing, just because my work is focusing on helping, supporting others to build highly successful business. My take is always life is not, you cannot chop up your part of your energy, part of your thinking towards business, and everything else is just you leave it out. And that's not how life works.
No, yeah, it's
That's
all
not
blended.
Exactly. If you are struggling in your health or in your household with your kids, that energy is going to be transferred into your business. And so the first thing is doesn't matter what it is, business, parents, whatever, parenting is you got to notice what you're thinking. What is happening in your mind? You cannot we cannot regulate nothing if we don't even know what do we should we to regulate. If we do not know that we're in a mode of panic, fear, or happiness, joy, or whatever is just, oh, I'm just chilling, I'm neutral. But if we don't know what is going on, there's nothing to be done. Just like, using your example, your parents, if they had realized what they were doing and they gave it a bit of a thought, then most likely they will be like, oh, actually, it's not necessary to scream or whatever. And, if my parents had taken a moment to realize how they were treating me, maybe I know most likely they wouldn't take on the acts they were taking on back then when I was a little kid, because I experienced it now in Chinese culture. I don't know about you, probably similar. It's you get a beating if you don't do anything according to the standard, or you did something wrong, you get a beating. I got beat up on a regular basis from the age of 6 to about 12, 13. I got too big. And nowadays, I do catch myself. I notice what I am thinking. I do have thoughts when my kids are getting difficult, whatever. They're kids, and they're going to do things that's going to poke your nerve.
Yep.
I do notice my own thinking of, oh my God, I'm really just like, I could use, I could do something just like my parents. But thank goodness I have a different level of awareness that I do not take that into act. And the more I train myself, but it started with that awareness that I'm thinking about those thoughts. My anger is getting to the point where I could physically harm them. And I would just call it a physical discipline,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
just that's what I grew up with. No big deal. But I I also realize for myself what I would love to do, what I want to do is to communicate with them from a calm space so they can learn lessons, so they can gain their own understanding and maturity rather than taking it into any kind of violence. Doesn't matter if it's physical or verbal or whatever. So my thing is, if you want to regulate anything, you got to start with notice where you're thinking, notice what's going on in your mind. From that space, then you can take it to all kinds of possibilities.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it right there. And I love that you identified it is just awareness. You can't move on from there if you don't know where you're starting. If you don't know where you're at, where are you going to go? And then much less like where your destination is. So identifying where you're at, where is your starting point? From there, how do I transform that into something more desirable, something that feels a lot better, and that feels good for where I want to be? When we are unclear about how we feel, and where we're at, it's it's such a it's not just a mental thing. It's a very much a physical thing. You feel it in your body and you feel the sensations. And I think it's in being able to identify those feelings as they're happening. The more that we practice it, the better that we get at it. And I'm so grateful that having this conversation with you and then other parents, not just Asian parents, but parents like our age. And I'm just like, it's super cool. We are so much more evolved in identifying and clearing out for ourselves what we needed to heal and the trauma that we experienced, that we are so much better prepared to parent our children
Yes.
in a healthy way so that they can experience life. Now, that doesn't mean we're doing it perfectly. There are still things that this generation has to deal with and has to navigate that the previous generations didn't. And there are still things that we're learning, but we're doing it with so much grace, not only for ourselves, but for our children. And that allows for so much more love. And that's something that I've really noticed and have felt because as I get older and the more that I experience with my children, the less that I'm hurt and resentful of the experiences that I went through with my parents. And I get to see from a clearer lens of like, it's exactly like you said, they didn't go into parenting with the intention or idea of like this. I'm gonna have so much fun ruling over this kid's life, or I'm gonna have so much control. I'm gonna put a stamp of me into the world. They did it with love and with the best that they had at the time and the best that they knew. And as we introduce our children to them, it's a lens of how they want to make that change through the way that they treat our children. And one of the things that we talked about earlier was they don't have the right words or even the right feelings and emotions, in my opinion, to be able to really clarify how sorry they are for the traumas that they might have caused. So, in order to make up for that, they show our children so much love in their way that we couldn't possibly show them. And for me, someone who is so led by words and feels and hears and needs those affirmations and the validation, I've had to really learn to understand the way that they communicate. A lot of times it's not through words. And that's just with life in general. Sometimes people can't speak it, but they will show you much better than they can say it. And some people say it a lot better than they can show you. But it's a matter of just understanding how your loved ones communicate, not just your parents, but maybe your coworkers or your boss or your clients, right? Your clients come from a place of care. Sometimes they might get frustrated with the process or how things are rolling out or in their lives, and they're having a hard time communicating that with you. But the more you understand your client, and the more that they understand you, the more you guys can connect and speak with each other without saying those exact words. And so I just like I'm really grateful again for where we're at and how the whole healing process and emotional and mental health has been evolving because it's so needed. It has been so needed for a long time, but we didn't know how to put it into words. And I'm loving the fact that it's integrated into our lives so much more. So I to really segue into your work with your clients, can you share with me a transformation that you experienced to which you knew like this is precisely where I need to be. Like this is the magical work and the feelings that are coming. It tells me I'm in the exact right place. You told me that you helped one of your friends and that was where it initially triggered this is a work you need to be doing. But as you worked with your clients, have there been like transformative processes where you're just like, oh, this is it. This is the feeling. This is what I needed to know and reaffirm that I'm in my calling. Like this is what I'm meant to do.
Yes. Yeah, my starting point was my friend Alejandra Valencia. Big shout to her. And it really just she gave me the clarity of this is what I would love to pursue. This is like I just feel this internal passion and this energy is just coming through. And towards the most recent experience I've had Tuesday night, I have a class that's part of my signature program, and I teach it every single Tuesday, 5 p.m. Eastern time. I was dealing with my internet issue. I share with you a little bit of my internet issue. So on the phone for 5 hours with the technician and go through their chain of commands and try to get things dissolved. And I was like, oh my God, that was draining. And yet I got to prepare for my 5 o'clock class. But the minute I showed up, the minute I see my clients showing up, I'm just boom, boom, boom. There's a switch automatically turn on. I I I prepare for my lessons nowadays because I've been in the study for long enough. I'm still in it, continuously to learn. And I feel like I can I'm much more open to receive what I call this divine download because I'm really not that smart. I have a general guideline of what I want to talk about, so we're not going to be there for 3 hours. Yet, the words, the details, the story just came through, And one of my clients sent it to me to say, thank you so much for sharing whatever you shared today. That's exactly what I need to hear. She is building her multi six-figure business. And as we are on, every single person on the journey of creating any sort of new results, we hit walls, we face challenges. And she is going through one of her challenges. She feels so discouraged. And she said, that's exactly the content I need to hear for tonight. It's moments like this. And of course, it's moments when my clients calls me, it's not even it was middle of October. She's like, finally, we're so close to $1 million this year. And it's not even, we're just starting Q4. And she wanted that goal, worked towards that for a while. But this time it was yet finally see it in flourishing. And also not just that part, but she's taking more time off for herself. She's paying more attention to her children and just emotionally engaging with her kids rather than just passing by and still holding her phone trying to work. That is not the I don't believe that's a way of living. Yet she's really creating this, what I call, that's my business name, enlightened success. Is full spectrum. Is those moments, I for you and I, for what we're doing, I believe it doesn't matter what you do. You can sell ice cream, but do something you're passionate about. I think I can sell ice cream because I love food. But do something you love so much, do something you're so passionate about, you can do it for free. But then you got to build in a solid business structure, because if you're going to do business, then you got to have the structure. You got to talk money. You got to build that as part of the entire flow. And when you do that, when you follow your passion, when you follow your love, life is so good.
I love it. I am a huge advocate too of just because you're really great at something or you have a huge passion for something, it does not equal a successful business. You do have to also know the business essentials and foundations in order to be a success. And the beautiful thing is, even if you don't know, you can find someone who does, who can support you in that business structure, whether it's the finances, the marketing, the procedures, making sure that all of that is in place so that you can really shine in the parts that you're really good at and doing what you love, delivering your passion, because that is important. You can do what you love. That's absolutely true. You can do what you love, but in order to make it a successful business, you do have to follow the business foundations. There are certain things that you have to handle, like the finances, like the understanding what's to come, because it isn't sustainable to go through feast and famine, wondering if you're going to be able to pay the bills or pay your contractors or your employees, things like that. That matters. So I love that you pointed that out. It is the most easy way to run a business is doing what you love. You can absolutely do it without having something that you love, but that's just not quite as sustainable. I have really enjoyed where we've gone with this and identifying the nuances of being in business as an Asian entrepreneur, an Asian woman. One of the things that you mentioned that I often wonder about, especially just again, in a world where they expect lawyers, doctors, architects, engineers to be like the path, when you talk about divine downloads and the spiritual and the energetic, who in your life checks out and it's just like, this isn't even viable? Like, have you run into that situation where there are people in your life that just don't understand and they're like, oh, she does something online, I don't even know, or even like as far as to go get a real job? Like, has that happened to you? Because in this space, it happens very often. Like, is that something that you've experienced?
All fairness, I don't think anybody, even my family members or my friends, have had that thought. They never said it to my face. And I have a very loving, believing, supportive husband. We just had a conversation about this on Tuesday too. He doesn't understand what I do. That's okay. That's okay. But I came to realize on Tuesday, after I gave a really like a passionate class, I realized as Asian, and again, certain culture aspect, he has his own business as well. He is a clinician. He's a Chinese medicine doctor, and he has his own practice. He loves what he does. He's really good at it. He's doing that business, yet he's out of the house all the time. Somehow I didn't even realize how much weight that has been on me for me to take care of class kids extra curriculum, right? And like their summer camps, birthday parties. What do we even want to do for their birthdays? Inviting everybody, like they're like my husband knows nothing. Not that it's not even occurring to the top of any part of his brain to even think about when is my daughter's birthday and what are we going to do. And I think I never thought about it until Tuesday when I just felt this heaviness. Probably was because I was on the phone for getting frustrated for 5 hours. And that became a little trigger for me to just like allow me to notice this part of me that has been not addressed, that is not serving me to continue to grow. And this is the process. This is our mindset is like it's like this incredible, beautiful well of water or of liquid that is representing this life force. Some of our beliefs is going to be settled down on the bottom. We cannot see it. But it's so important as you are every single time you want a new result, you want to do something different, you're stirring that well. And some of the things that's not that you have to take out of that well is going to surface. You will see it. You have to address it. You cannot push it back down there because it's got to happen. So Tuesday, this happened. And I at the beginning I didn't even really consciously aware of why am I so upset suddenly at him. Is that just because I was on the phone with a cable company or internet company for 5 hours? Then as I was talking, I realized, oh, that's right. It's because I have been taking care of not just my own business, but everything else in the house. And I also support his clinic strategically because he's a clinician. Guy doesn't really know much about marketing or anything else. And that's something I'm passionate about as well. Just like I'm not an expert, but I learned a lot along my way. And I would love to support and share my idea. So we had a very, very great, deep conversation. So for him to realize, oh, that's right. Things one of the awareness he came out with is like, you're right. I don't know what you do. I don't understand what you do. Even the books I'm reading, and he's like, I don't know what is this all of this stuff is. And with the attitude of it's just all oohoo. So
Yeah.
that was the first time he said that, which is okay, which is absolutely okay. But there's this is a long-winded answer, but there are definitely people in our life, in my life anyway. I don't even know. My parents, I think they believe in my ability to make something happen, but they have no understanding of what exactly the depth of what I do as well. They follow other life coaches. They don't speak English, first of all. So they follow other Chinese, my thought leaders, whatever. There are more and more of those are, with the social media, whatever. They're following them, and sometimes they will share with me like, look at this person. Like, what do you want me to look at? But being very typical Asian. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so yeah, it's all
That's
good though.
I it seems like you've really come to terms with the fact that it's okay that people don't understand. There are still people who are new to business who that's such a huge struggle for them is being able to make this make sense for the people who love them, who really do want the best for them, who just don't understand because when you see a typical working environment or a regular brick and mortar business, you go to work every day, you get paid a check, you come home, that's the regular process. That's what we're used to. But if someone's at home all day, they're like, what are you doing all day sitting at home being lazy when I have to go work? So like that's the usual and typical judgment, or it's what happens, and that's how they process it in their heads, and it really is just because they don't know anything different, and that's okay. And I think as the digital space evolves, as we move into more technology and people being aware of the fact that we can make a living from home without sacrificing our freedoms and other elements and other things that we desire out of life. You can still make a living and it can still be really powerful. It's people can be more accepting. And for you, it seems like the people around you love you so much that it's like whatever it is, even if I don't understand it, it's
And
totally cool. Do
yeah,
you?
and this is something I would love to share. It's do not look at other people to get a validation. That's why it's so important to do something you are passionate for, you love it so much, and find yourself a community who of people who believes in you. I had moments of crying, but not in front of my parents or my husband because they don't understand. I cry with my mastermind partners. I cry with people, fellow coaches who actually can hold the space, understand what I'm talking about, and can help me to process it rather than looking at me just like, oh, poor you. It's so important just because I don't think it's because of my energy. My family are looking at me in the way they are. If I'm coming from, please, please, everybody validate me, please, and please be proud of me. You can bet because that's coming from a fearful state. Yet I'm coming from passion. I don't care if you understand or not. Sorry, not yelling at my parents because I don't dare. But
Okay.
like, this, this,
No, no, in a very gentle way. It's
yes,
okay. I
yes.
don't care what you think.
And I've actually never had that conversation with them just because they never said anything. They just I know they are proud of me because I have done my master's degree. I have worked in healthcare very successfully. I got multiple promotions, and I give them enough validation for them to say, leave her alone. She knows what she's
He
doing.
knows what
So
she's doing.
yeah, so that's you got to have this to yourself and find a group of people who are. That's why I think what we do what we do is that we can be that person when somebody don't have that in their life. It's not just talking about mindset, this woohoo stuff. It's also you might be again making ice cream, but everybody's like, seriously, you quit your corporate job to make ice cream? Yes, because I love it and I'm going to do it.
I appreciate that so much. I really truly love it. The analogy that you shared about like stirring the pot and whenever you scoop out, you're gonna get everything. And you have to deal with those things. If I am stirring my soup and I pick up potato and I don't love potato, I love potato. But if I didn't love potato, uh, then I'm gonna pick it out. I need to handle that. I'm not gonna force myself to eat it. But in life, like when you're dealt with when these things are brought forward facing, if you don't deal with it, you're going to have to at some point, it's going to come back and you're going to have to encounter and face it anyway. So you might as well handle it while it's in the forefront. And finding the right community and finding the right people happens. And it is so important because they help to be that support factor for whatever it is that you believe in if you don't have that support elsewhere. And in order to find the right space, though, I think it's really important to continue to take the time to find your own voice if you don't already have it. If that's something that you're exploring or if you're still wondering, then it's a matter of finding that voice. And it's exactly like you said. And I think that it's not mentioned enough, Lynn. Whatever it is that you love, you need to really, really dive into it and just dig so deep and go forward with all that you've got. Because if it doesn't have that clear runway of your support and your love, then there is a chance that it's going to die. And if it falls apart, then if you're not solid in your belief and your faith, then there will be people there. As you get bigger and more visibility arrives, there are going to be people who point fingers and say, see, told you so. I knew that wasn't going to work. There are always going to be haters. And if you're not fully devoted to the path that you've created for yourself and how much you love what you do, or even just fully believe that I'm headed in the right direction. It might not be exactly this. I might not have it fully realized, but I know that every step I'm taking is the right thing. And if you're not fully convicted, it's so easy to be taken down. And I love the energy that you're bringing into what you're doing and knowing and standing on solid ground. Like, this is me, like it or not. it's me. I'm going to be fulfilling this, and this aspect of my life is what I want. I've done what you have wanted for me to in terms of parents and stuff like that. But like the outline that I had laid out previously, I fulfilled that. That was great and I absolutely loved it. It's time for me to transition. It's time for me to try something different, like what my spirit is calling me to do. And your love and appreciation is what I would appreciate and be grateful for. But if that's not what I have, I still love you and I'm still going to pursue what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And that is really, really powerful going into entrepreneurship, into being a parent, going into being a partner. There are so many different elements in life where you might not get the support that you really desire, really want. But as long as you have full faith that this is me, this is what I want for my life, the people around you will come around. They're
Yeah.
going to come and support you if they are people who truly, really love you. They will. And I love that. I love that you own that. And I appreciate that you've brought this to this space. And thank you too for bringing that to me and identifying that in me. It was something that I had a huge struggle with that I have learned to quiet down, really like the need to seek validation, the need to seek answers, the need to seek whether or not this is right or wrong before I make a move. If I
Yeah.
feel intuitively, if I know that this feels really good, I know that it's right for me. And
Right.
so it's okay if not everyone agrees. It's okay if I don't get validation from anywhere else,
Yeah.
if it
That-
feels good to me, if I know
That's
that
the
I'm being
key.
true to myself. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
The-
so if someone is interested in your work, Lynn, how do they learn more about you or what you're doing? I'm obviously going to share your socials. Are
Thank
those the
you.
best places to connect with you?
Yes, absolutely. Socials are great because I share content, especially on Instagram nowadays. Facebook is wonderful as well, and I have contents for all major platforms. And is never don't be shy to reach out because I love what I do. I'm passionate for human potential. I love a spark when somebody. I just got a text message. Somebody who she did my makeup for my wedding, not my makeup but my mother's makeup, like she's a makeup artist, and I shared something and she made a comment on social media and we are in a conversation. I was like, I have absolutely no attachment to, oh, she'd better sign up as a client. No, I want to evoke her full potential for this year so she can witness her business to reach a whole new level and just makes her heart sing. And that is always my passion. Don't ever be shy to reach out and have a conversation, whatever that is going to lead us. I love the way that we're having this conversation. Run while you're saying something came through me is like running for business is literally like parenting. Just
It
you don't
is.
know what's gonna happen, and you don't know, you don't have a plan. It doesn't come with a menu, not for your kids.
No, it doesn't. No, you're
Yeah,
absolutely right. There are so many parallels, and it is you just giving what you have and what you believe is right. And then whatever comes back to you is what you're gonna have to handle because you can't
yeah,
prepare for it.
yeah,
There's only so much that you can do, especially with things evolving so much online and with people and the things that we're experiencing, how AI is being integrated into our lives and our businesses. There are so many changes, and it's how do we navigate that in the best way with the tools that we already have, without like fearing for what's coming
yeah,
next. It's just being
yeah.
open to whatever is next is something I can handle
Yeah.
and I'm going to do it well, no matter
Exactly.
what it is. Yeah.
Exactly.
So
And what's guaranteed is your business is just like your kids. It's not about being perfect. It's not about you know exactly what to do. It's about coming from passion and love and take one step at a time. They are guaranteed going to grow.
yes, absolutely. I completely and entirely agree with that. They're guaranteed to grow as long as you bring forward what you can and give it what you can, and
Yeah.
what it deserves. And you there will be no problem giving your children or your business what it deserves as long as it's what you're passionate about and what you're, you know, really does like just what you want and being aware of what
Yeah.
you're doing in those moments and moments that you're making decisions in the moments that you're faced with different situations in your business or with your children, if you're aware of who you are and how you're presenting yourself to them, then things are going to happen in the right way,
Yes,
regardless
absolutely.
of how, yeah. So I really appreciate this conversation. I look forward to really getting to know you better on social and what you're doing in business. It's so inspiring, and I, your spirit is so calming and grounded, and you can tell that you're meant to do the work that you're doing. And I hope that the people who are listening are drawn to, just as drawn to you as I am. And go connect with Lynn. She's super awesome. I'm so glad that we were able to meet, and I look forward to getting to know you so much better and supporting where you are at in business and connecting you with other women and other people who could use your light and your work and your inspiration, your motivation, like all of that. Um, I love that you're so clear in who you are, and you bring it with such a light. So I appreciate you for being here
Thank you.
today, Lynn.
Thank you so much, Ning. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity, the stage to share my story and share the message. That's that's my passion. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me in this conversation with Lynn, talking about entrepreneurship, parenting, being an Asian American woman, and how just navigating life can be so much fun if we understand where we're going and trust the process. If you found any value in this episode, I would so appreciate it if you leave a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts. Connect with me on socials. Let me know, was this a conversation that you've had before with someone, anything that you could relate to? I would love to hear your thoughts. If you are someone who would love to be on this podcast to talk about parenting, entrepreneurship, creation, anything like that, I would love to have you. Just reach out. If you're not already connected on socials, of course, find me Min Din on Facebook, but Connections Queen on most other platforms. I would love to be connected with you. I look forward to seeing you again in the next episode of Creating Connections.